My racist father-in-law always hated me for my background until a DNA test revealed his secret.
When I started dating my wife, we have been married 24 years, I had been living in the USA on an H-1B visa for a few years. It was truly love at first sight. We knew from day one we were perfect for each other. She was a Southern Baptist from the Deep South. Me, tall, blonde, all-American look, but not American. Her, beautiful, Southern blonde. After dating a few months, she decided that the time was right to introduce me to her parents. She tried warning me about safe topics to discuss, golf, college football, etc., and some topics to avoid, religion, sex, politics, the big one. I was nervous, as you might expect. Well, her parents kept the wheels on pretty well our first meeting, but as we were watching a college football game, her father let slip a "look at that N-bomb run." I was floored. I had never heard that language out of my wife, and I went from excited about our future to what the hell I have gotten into. Because of the large amount of alcohol involved with that event, I waited until the next morning to bring it up with my wife. She was mortified and said that yes, her father was very racist. She took great pains assuring me she was not, and thus we were able to stay together, but I had to endure her parents for holidays and events. I finally get the courage to ask her to marry me, and if you are Southern, you know that you have to ask the father for permission before you can ask the daughter. Well, I called to schedule a time to talk to him, but he is very cagey and seems to know what is going on. I am busy, I can't meet. He comes up with every reason in the world to not meet with me. Finally, I just blurt out, "Listen, I am trying to do the right thing and ask for your daughter's hand in marriage because that is important to her. However, if you keep making this difficult, I will just skip you and ask her directly." Well, that just set the old man off. "She won't say yes. You aren't American. I bet you are just marrying her to get a green card. Isn't that how you foreigners do this?" I let my inner smartass out after this one and let him know that there are far easier ways to get green cards than marrying into his family. He responded, "Fine, ask her, but she isn't marrying a foreigner." Spoiler, she did. We are. Many instances of issues over the last 20-some years with her family and my foreignness. About 4 years ago, I decided that I wanted to get our DNA tested. I have always been curious, and we all have our family stories about where we came from. So, I pulled the trigger for my wife and I and both kids, as well as my parents. You needed a different email for each submission back then, so I had my wife's info sent directly to her. I used my alt emails for both kids, and my main for me. The results come back and I immediately go to mine. Scandinavian, English, Irish, Scottish. I am literally glow in the dark white. One of my children, the oldest, matches my heritage pretty closely. My other, while still a genetic match as child, for all you Reddit "she is cheating" people, shows some Congo DNA, like 2% if I remember correct. This did make me curious, so I asked my wife to see her report. "I don't have it." Okay, let's give it a few days. Maybe yours is last. 3 weeks later, she was too busy to check, but didn't think she had it. My parents had theirs. My kids and I had ours. So I sat her down and said, "I know you have the results, and I am curious if you have Congo DNA like my youngest." Her shoulders slumped. She started to tear up and said, "I do have the results. I am 8% Congo. This is going to kill my dad." Well, 20 years of backhanded comments about me being foreign and all his racist crap. Well, you know I had a plan. Over the next couple of months we talked about this back and forth, and she realized that she shouldn't be protecting this man. He needed to face the truth, and maybe, just maybe, it may make him a little more tolerant. So, I shared the results with my youngest, who was quite proud of the results, and shared that with people proudly. Fast forward to our next visit with the in-laws. We were watching college football again, and my father-in-law made another comment about blacks, because he tried hard not to say the N-bomb in front of my children. My youngest said, "I am 2% black." My father-in-law launched like a rocket out of his chair. "No, you aren't. You are white and should be proud of that." My son, "I am 2% Congolese and proud of that." My fiel, "You are not. Who taught you to say that?" My son, "My dad." My fiel then looks at me and says, "Why are you teaching him to say this? He is white." Me, "Funny you should mention. I happen to have our genetic profiles here with me." Pulls out the full color printouts. Me, "Funny thing about genetic, here are my results, as well as my parents. Here are my kids' results. Here is your daughter's results. The question I have is, does the Congo DNA come from your side of the family or your wife's? I am more than happy to get by a test to help you explore your rich history." My Phil, "This is Bullshit science mumbo jumbo. Ain't no way. Me. Actually, it is very accurate and only getting more accurate as more people share. Come on, let me get a test for you and your wife. My fill over my dead body. Ironically, that was the day the foreigner comment stopped. Never again was it pointed out I was from another country, nor were my children mixed. My FIL learned a hard lesson that day, and it was by far the best money I have ever spent. Still hates me, but I shifted the power dynamic.